Hi guys, let's have a look at the Zcash or Zcash cryptocurrency. So, as you can see, I have the monthly chart of Zcash open. And already the first thing that I can see that is of interest is that we have this candlestick over here. It's a bullish candlestick with a small body and a long upper wick. So what this tells me is that at this level over here, we have so much liquidity sitting there, and that at some stage price has to come back from where it is um to this level to grab some of that liquidity. I don't know if you can see the candle properly, but it's a bullish candlestick with a small body and a long upper wick, right? So that's number one. Number two is that we had this W structure over here with the neckline being here, and we saw price breaking that W structure, or rather breaking that um the neckline and coming back to retest it. So we can see that price actually has been testing this neckline for quite some time. In fact, since the year 2020. If I can just go back, we had one touch, two touches, three touches, four touches, five, and so forth, right? So this is also a very strong area of support, right? So what I'm gonna do now is actually add a neckline to that area, just so that we don't forget that we have a big W formation in that region, as well as a very strong um support line. So let's continue. So what else do we see on this particular chart that is of interest? Another thing that is very interesting is that we have this candle over here. It's a bullish candle with a small body and a long upper wick, which says we have liquidity at this level over here, which needs to be grabbed by the market sooner or later, right? Another very important thing is that over and above us having this W structure here, we also seem to have an M structure in this region, with the neckline being there. So given that we have this W structure as well as this M formation, I think it would be risky to actually buy or sell in this region, just based on this monthly chart, right? Because you can't have two opposing structures which share the same neckline. Nonetheless, I think the stronger structure here would be this W formation. And the reason why I say so is because of this candlestick over here, which is a bullish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick, or rather a long upper wick, which, as I said earlier, tells us that we have a whole lot of liquidity that's sitting up there, right? So let's continue. Another reason why I say that the W formation is actually stronger than the M formation is that we have this support area here, where price bounced multiple times, and it still seems to be holding. And from here, we might see price actually going up to that area that I just spoke about right now, where we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting. So let's continue. So what else do we see on this particular chart, right? I don't see much. What I'm gonna do now is head over to the weekly chart. Okay, so here we are on the weekly chart. Um, so here's another candle. I think we spoke about this particular candle on the monthly chart, which has a whole lot of liquidity that needs to be grabbed by the market. We also have this candlestick over here, which is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a very long lower body, or rather a very long wick, which tells us that we have liquidity sitting down there, right? Which needs to be grabbed by the market. Another one is here, small body, long lower wick. So we have liquidity down here. So what may actually happen is as much as we have that W structure and that information, which both share a neckline, on the monthly chart, we may actually see price heading down to grab liquidity and then head up to the top, right? Because in my humble opinion, it would not make sense for price to just continue going up. Just bear with me from where it is without actually grabbing some of this liquidity here and some of this liquidity here, right? So it may be that price may come back here, grabbing that liquidity and grabbing some of this liquidity, and then going up. Also, because we have that W formation here, we know for sure that we have a whole lot of stop losses that are located in this region. So it actually makes sense for price to come down to grab all of that liquidity and then head up to that candlestick we spoke about, which had liquidity at that level. So let's continue. Excuse me. So we had another double formation here with the neckline being there. Price broke the neckline, came back to retest it. However, the neckline failed and price continued going down, right? Let's continue. So what else do we see? So what I'm gonna do actually is just for now, at least add a line to this candlestick over here so that we don't forget about the fact that it's a liquidity candlestick and price at the very least before going up has to grab the liquidity here. It might leave the one down there, but it has to grab this liquidity before continuing going up. Seeing that this is actually a very strong area of support, and that's what may actually happen, right? So from here I'm gonna head over to the daily chart. Okay, so here we are on the daily chart. So what do we see on this daily chart? What's happening on this daily chart? What do we see? So the first thing that I'm going to do on this particular daily chart is add my channel. I'm trying to figure out where exactly to add my channel. Okay, I'm gonna do it in this way. Just bear with me. Mm, there we go. Um, I always emphasize the fact that we need to ensure that all our drawings are as accurate as can be, just to ensure that at the end of the day, when we do execute, our execution also is as accurate as possible. There we go. That's my daily channel. So what do we see on this daily chart that is of interest or interesting? Um, so we saw the daily chart creating a whole lot of informations. There's one here, there's another information there, there's another information here, neckline here, neckline there, neckline there, you know. But for now, let's just focus on this last information where we saw price breaking that neckline and then coming back up to retest the neckline, right? So what I'm gonna do now is add an actual neckline so that I don't forget about this particular area. Just put it like this, right? Some of you may argue that this area is not an information, but trust me, it is an information. It's just not a perfect information that you would see in the textbook. And if you go to the lower time frames, such as the H4 time frame, you will see a much better looking M than the one we have on this daily chart, right? So let's continue. So what I'm going to do now is add the Fibonacci retracement tool. I just want to see if the neckline that we have of this current M structure aligns with any of the key Fibonacci areas. So there we go. So guys, can you see that actually our information, or rather the neckline of our information, aligns with the 61.8% Fibonacci zone? So we should have looked for selling opportunities in this region, right? With our first take profit being at this region, where on the monthly chart we have a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. So from here, price is likely to come at least to this level to grab that liquidity, and that's when we may see it potentially going up, right? Or what may happen is it may continue going down further to trigger the liquidity that's on that bearish candle that we have on the monthly chart at the bottom, which has a small body and a long upper wick, right? So that's what may happen. So if you were able to get a sell in this area, good for you. What I would do is I would hold up until price reaches this region, right? And then what I would do is I would close some of the trades and leave some of them still open, just in case price decides to continue going down to grab that liquidity at the bottom, right? So let us continue. So what else do we see on this daily chart that is significant or interesting? I don't see anything further. So what I'm going to do now is head over to the H4 chart. So on the H4 chart, the first thing that I'm going to do is fix my daily channel, just to ensure that it's sitting properly and accurate. Just bear with me, guys. Please bear with me. Okay, that's much better. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's continue. So the first thing that I'm going to do on this particular H4 chart is I'm going to add my H4 channel as well. Let's see, how would I add my H4 channel? Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. I would add it in this manner. There we go. So we actually saw um we actually saw the H4 channel being broken. Price went down to retest it again, and then it pushed up, right? I know a lot of people actually bought thinking that because price bounced here, um, it would continue going up. That's what a lot of people did, and their stop losses are down here. In my humble opinion, the market did this on purpose, so that more people can buy in this region, put in their stop losses below. What's probably going to happen is that price is going to form. Let me just actually make it bigger. What's actually probably going to happen is price is likely to form an M formation in this region, the neckline being here, right? And we may see price breaking that neckline, coming back to retest it, and then coming down to grab that liquidity that we keep speaking about. That's what I think will likely happen, as opposed to the market breaking this channel and then coming down to retest it and then pushing up again. This is a trap move, in my humble opinion. So let's continue. So what else do we see on this chart that is of interest, right? So another thing that tells me that this M formation is likely to happen is that we have reversal candlestick patterns in this region and that region, and we have that neckline there, and we have that huge M structure on the daily chart, and we have price coming back to the 61.8% Fibonacci zone that we spoke about earlier. So that's confluence, right? That confirms that price has to come back down, in my humble opinion. So let's continue. So if you sold here, good for you. I would hold up until price reaches here at the very least, right? So let's continue. From here, I'm just gonna go on to the daily chart, or rather the H1 chart. But before I do so, let me just point out one other thing, that price had created an overextended W formation in this region, with the neckline being here. We saw price coming down to retest that neckline and then pushing up to that level, right? Let me head over to the H1 chart. Okay. So what do we see on this H1 chart? Do we see anything interesting here? Another interesting thing on this H1 chart is that we have this candle here, which is a liquidity candlestick, which tells us that price has to come to this region to grab liquidity as well, right? What else do we see? I don't see anything further, except that we have a very strong area of support in this region, and this is actually the neckline of that huge M structure that we have on the H4 chart. And if you were not able to get an entry at this level, what I would do is I would wait for price to come back to test this level to form maybe a double top or a triple top. If it does so, I would look for a further selling opportunity to around that area we spoke about at the top, or rather at the bottom. So that is it, guys, in as far as Zcash is concerned. Just to go back, I'm just gonna go back to the daily chart just to recap a bit. As I said, guys, that okay, let me go to actually the weekly chart. Okay, here we are on the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, I mentioned that we have this W formation here with the neckline being there, right? And also we have this M structure here with the neckline being here. And I said to you guys that it's actually tricky to buy or sell in this region, you know. However, given that we have this information, right? And that we have this particular candlestick, which is a bearish candlestick with a long lower wick and a small body. Price is likely to actually come down before heading up, right? And I did say that we have the strong level of support as well, right? And it's been held here. Let me do this. It's a very strong area of support because it's been bouncing in the same area. Price has been bouncing in the same area for quite some time if you look at the history, So what I would do, as I said, is look for a selling opportunity in this level and then sell up until here at the very least. If price breaks the zone, comes back to retest it, I would then possibly look for another selling opportunity to around this level.